And we're live. Welcome to the latest edition of the Armchair NBA. I'm your host, Tom Lavecchia, with my esteemed guest, Paulie G. Paulie G has 7 restaurants. He has slice shops. He has a whole bunch of great things going on. But that was not always the case. And when you're me, I'm 45. I'm old, but I'm not, but I am. And I kind of think to myself, hey, do I want to change things in my life? If you watch this episode, you will just think about Paulie G. Paulie G, welcome to the Armchair NBA. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I want to set the tone for this whole
Please.
thing. I flew in from Aruba last night. Went to Newark. Had my buddy who runs our slice shop pick me up with his girlfriend. Where did we go and what did I order?
You got picked up in Newark. But you're in Jersey. But you got to give me a hint. You're in Jersey now, though, right? Where you live?
No, I live in Brooklyn.
I
But
don't.
I did not want to take a 50-pound suitcase on the plane to the train to the and all of that.
Yeah.
So I had my buddy come pick me up, and I bought them dinner for doing that for us on his day off. Actually, where did I go? What did I order? Come on.
This is tough. I'm guessing no, because you didn't go to DeForest, too obvious. You didn't go to Lucali's because I know.
No. I went in New Jersey.
Oh, New
We
Jersey.
went back to Brooklyn. Where did I go? What did I order?
Hold on. Prima Pizza Kitchen.
No.
No.
I do have their hat on.
Shout out to Jerry. Okay, 10th Street Pizza in Hoboken.
No.
That's my other spot.
Didn't have pizza.
Oh, Belmont Tavern, Chicken Murphy.
I don't like the Chicken Murphy at all. My wife likes the Chicken Savoy. But we started with what? Shrimp beeps.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at least got Belmont right.
That place is incredible. I knew you'd get that right away.
You know what it is? I thought you were setting me up to promote for Jerry. Shout out to Jerry.
No.
Great Italian American businessman, owns Prima Pizza Kitchen in Somerville, New Jersey. He'll eventually get on here, but he's always too busy working. Paulie and I just kind of sit around and do nothing. That's why we're on today. Just kidding. With that being said, introduce yourself, Paulie J. This story is amazing. I'm excited to have you on. Share a little bit about a background and why you're here to tell your story.
Well, I'm excited to be on because for 30 years I did something I wasn't suited for, I didn't love, and I found my way. And the most important thing that I want to do today is show other people that if you're doing something that's really not right for you and you're disappointing people in your life, there's, you can change that path and find something beyond your wildest dreams, because that's what's happened to me. I worked in the corporate world for 30 years, shrimp ceviche at Belmont Tavern. I don't think so.
I didn't know that.
No, shrimp beeps. I don't think they have shrimp ceviche there, but I was in the corporate world and I picked a career that I thought was going to be lucrative. Yankees, what's up? Yeah, Yankees, you got that right. Okay, this is distracting. I'm not used to this stuff popping up.
Sorry. We're doing it live.
I know. I got to get used to this because I want to react to everything. But the important thing was that I had to find something else. I was, like I said, I was disappointing people. My family had a wonderful life. We always went on nice vacations and we did nice things, but I wasn't getting where I wanted to get. And finally, I had to do something to change that. And a friend of mine came to me and wanted to, he said he'd build a restaurant for me, a restaurant. He loved this chain. This franchise, La Peep, and he said, "Thank you." He said that he'd build a thing for me, and I just got to give him 5% of the gross. It was a breakfast and lunch place. He knew of it in Edison, New Jersey, and we started looking to do that.
Yeah,
I looked all around New Jersey, and I kind of liked the idea because I could be with my family at night, breakfast and lunch. But I wasn't quite feeling it. I had become a pizza enthusiast. I always loved pizza, but to me, it was always like New York pizza, kind of pizza that Jerry makes here. I wore this hat because if it wasn't for Jerry, we wouldn't be doing this today.
That's right.
I'm really happy to do this. But you mentioned him. I called him up right away. I said, "Oh my God, I just heard about you on whatever it was at the time. It's different now. You got to change your logo on your podcast."
I know. I'm working on it.
To know what not to do is not to know. Okay.
True.
Did you know that?
What is not to do is not to know. I'm going to use that.
All right, good. So, long story short, I decided rather than do the La Peep thing, I decided to build a pizza oven and open up a pizzeria. And I thought my friend who was going to, do this would be excited about it and back me up. But it turns out he had more faith in La Peep than he did in me. I could understand that.
Oh, wow.
But he still, even though I changed my mind, I didn't realize how disappointed he was. I'm in the shadows here. I'm sorry about this.
You're good.
I'm good. All right, good. I didn't realize that he'd be disappointed in it. And it turns out, like he wasn't going to invest.
Yeah.
But he did help me build the oven. He had a passion for masonry, like I have a passion for pizza, right? So I built this oven not as a hobby. I built it because, first of all, I saw these guys. Great place to go to in Nutley, New Jersey, called
Ralph's
Queen Margarita. It was Regina.
Oh,
Margarita. In Nutley, right? It's on, I forget what street. In any case, he had built an oven there, and I just kind of got the idea to do that. But I built it to prove to myself I could do it. Because in this life, if you want to do something, you got to believe you can accomplish it, and then you got to commit to do it.
That's right.
The belief is very important because if you don't believe you're going to accomplish it, you're going to run into obstacles, right?
Correct.
And you just, if you don't think that, it's going to take some pain to get over those obstacles, right? You're not going to be willing to go through that pain if you don't think you're going to get the result. But once you have proof that, you could do that, then you go through that. So belief is very important.
Correct.
Commitment's the other thing, because once you tell people you're going to do something, it's harder not to do it, right? I love a deadline. I love commitment, right?
You got to stick to your word.
And the belief was very important. And I got that from other people who weren't in the pizza business and were able to open up a pizzeria. You mentioned Lucali. Lucali was one of those places, right? Let's see. Is this going to help? No. Is this going to help? No.
You're good.
No.
You're good. You're good.
All right, good. So I built that oven and I started telling people I was going to open up a pizzeria. Thank you very much. Thank you. And so I started doing that. I went to people. Why is somebody ringing my doorbell? Go away.
That's the beauty of lives. No worries.
Yeah, no, it's just somebody with a package. So,
Hello.
Where was I?
So hold on. So he's going to build the oven for you. He may not invest. You're a little disappointed.
So I started building the oven, and I started inviting people over and making pizza for them, experimenting, and I would go to people. I put together a business plan, and I would go to people. I lived in an affluent community. I live in Warren, New Jersey. A lot of finance bros out there, and I got to know a lot of them through my son's sporting activities. Yeah. And I went to them and I said, "Look, this is what I want to do." And every single one of them, they didn't believe in me either. And they asked me a very important question that I hated the answer. Do you have any skin in the game? And I had no skin. I had no skin. What I had was bills I had to pay off. So I had motivation. But really, I didn't, for years and years, my kids, we went to Vail every year and other places on vacation, loved to ski, summer vacations. And, I just kept on taking that credit card debt and rolling it into my mortgage. And, so I couldn't say yes to the, to that question. And I hated the fact I couldn't. And finally, there were a couple of people who said they believed enough in me, a couple of people I work with, that they'd be interested in investing. And at that point, I talked to my wife. I said, "Listen, we got to do this. We, whatever equity we have in a house, I want to take out a home equity loan.
Damn.
I want to take it. I want to use half of it to seed this. use the other half. I want to invest in sleeping medication. Okay, that's very important.
Sleeping medication.
Yeah, I had half of it sitting on the side. And, when you do these things go sideways, things go wrong. And I didn't want to have to, pull the hair out of my head and be up all night worrying about how I was going to straighten it out. So having
that safety fund. Got it.
Allowed me to sleep at night. That was very important. And, I went and I had to figure out a way. I was going to do this. I was working in New Jersey. I was going to try to do this while I was working on, at the time, foreign exchange software thing, right? Even Hotspot FX it was at the time, up at Parsippany. And I was going to try to do this because I wanted a safety net while I was still working. And finally, I had to figure something else out because I knew I wasn't going to be satisfied in New Jersey.
If you don't mind me asking, especially with entrepreneurs, I'd like to kind of deep dive in some specific questions.
Yeah, listen, I will talk and never stop. You feel free to interrupt.
No. So with what you're comfortable with, what type of raise were you looking for? Do you need 250? Do you need 500? Do you need $1 million? How much did you need for your initial raise when they were slamming the door on you?
I didn't know. I had no idea. I was very optimistic I was going to get it done cheaply. It turned out I did it for very little compared to other people. I was looking for I don't know, couple of $100,000. I thought I could do it for, which was unrealistic, but somehow, because that's all I had, I found a way to do it. Right. I mean, I hired guys. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I hired guys to design the place that were young and, and I was able to, trade some equity for their work. I paid them half in cash and half in equity. And, but what I did was, I had a friend. He said to me, people, you're going to need investors. And I was going to need investors. And he said, little did I know at the time, he was thinking to be one of those investors. He said to me, whoever's going to invest in you wants to know that you're thinking 100% of the time about, running this restaurant and not about your day job, right? He said, they won't mind if you take some salary, enough to pay your bills. And that kind of opened everything up for me. Because I knew if I opened in Jersey, I'd always want to get back to Brooklyn. I'd always want to get back to New York City. So then that just changed my whole approach. And I started looking for places there. And finally, I found this neighborhood. I wanted to open up in Williamsburg. For those of you who know Brooklyn, I wanted to be around young people. I wanted to be around on the bleeding edge of things, right? But it was prohibitive to me because first of all, it was expensive. The other thing was, I picked the brains of as many people as I could who were doing what I'm doing, who were doing what I wanted to do to find out what I should do. And they were all very generous with their encouragement and their knowledge. So I couldn't open up, and two of them were in Williamsburg. I couldn't open up in their backyard. So I said, there was a place called Roberta's. Anybody who's into pizza knows about Roberta's. They went to the next neighborhood. They opened up in an industrial area in Bushwick, and they basically created a new neighborhood, really. So I said, well, because I really was inspired by them as well. They did a lot of things. They took an old dump of like a garage.
But I want it real quick. So you're a Brooklyn guy growing up. Forgive me again. What was the exact neighborhood you grew up in Brooklyn?
I grew up in what they call Kensington now. We never called it Kensington.
Got it. So you know the kind of the backdrop of the podcast. We cover a lot of OC and organized crime.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I grew up Church of McDonald. The Gallo brothers had a little place there.
Got it. Okay. So here's my question though, and this is part of the reason selfishly why I wanted you on. I get obsessed when there's Paulie G here and another guy here, we'll name nameless, kind of goes into that life and neighborhood. He's not much, and you do your thing. And with all due respect, he's not smarter than you. You're not smarter than him. Similar parents, maybe, similar background, similar culture, similar neighborhood. So why do you think you kind of followed the right path? And why do you think some of the guys followed perhaps the wrong path?
Well, first of all, because I couldn't do the time.
Yeah.
Period. I could not do the time. Listen, I dealt drugs when I was 15. Okay. I love methamphetamine. Okay. And, I was a hippie. you know, and I did drugs. I smoked a lot of pot, and really, I was really into speed, and I would sell it. I would sell it on Ocean Parkway with a friend of mine, and you know. But as soon as I turned old enough where I'd have to go to prison if I got caught, I stopped. And that was what. And I wasn't a tough guy. I really wasn't a tough guy. You know, I wasn't somebody who would go out and beat the shit out of somebody.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I think that was part of that. You know, I knew other people who, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But
keep going. Sorry.
Know, but you know, so I was more cautious, and that's how I wound up. Well, going in another direction.
God bless
you. You know, there's another thing you mentioned that. For the longest time, maybe I didn't think about doing this because the word on the street for many years is if you owned a pizzeria, you were really beholden to people, you know, who were supplying you with stuff or whatever.
Correct.
I was, you know, and I think that might have discouraged me.
But,
things changed.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank God is right. So, so where do you want me to go? Okay,
I want to
get the money because that's important. People need to understand this. Okay. Once I decided I was going to do this, I found this neighborhood, Greenpoint. I fell in love with it. I said, "This is the next neighborhood, and I'm home, and I'm doing this right." And I went and I signed a lease. It was the scariest moment of my life. And what are you laughing at?
The guy does real guests, real interviews. I'm excited about it. But now that the name is Armchair King, so usually I get troll accounts. I never get an account that's actually positive. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
Well, I signed this lease, and you know, I looked through. It was scary, scariest moment of my life. But I knew I had to do something. I knew, you know, I had to show my children what they were made of. It's very important.
Love that.
I had 2 sons, and you know, I couldn't be telling them to do things in life and then not doing them myself. And they had to see what they could accomplish because they got the same DNA as me. That's always the way I thought. You know, my father wasn't a big thinker like that. He used to tell me to get a good civil service job, and I know that affected me. I went and I got a good civil service job.
Yeah, me too.
I wasn't satisfied with it. Right, so I had to sign this lease, and I said, you know what? I look back on my life. Look, I believe in God. You know, I went to church for many years, community and confirmation, yada yada yada. But to me, I know my idea is I don't know what God is. All I know is God exists. I think God is too complex for any human being to comprehend. Right? But I know that in my past, when I've had troubles or I had, you know, things that I wanted to change, I asked for God's help and I got it.
God bless.
Unless I asked for something that's a little unreasonable.
But really quick though, Paulie, hold on, really quick, Paulie. Let you come up for a second, just messing with you. So one of the things that I want to press upon people. So number one, he was 56 years old. You know, was doing okay. He could have did his 2-3 weeks vacation every week. He could have been home at 6 o'clock every night. He could have still been a good father, even a great father, but he wanted more, right? So number two, he went out and said, "Hey, I need a whole bunch of money," right? And we'll get to that in a second. Number three, when you sign a lease, there's this thing in front of you that's like, you owe us $1.8 million over this period, and if somehow you crap out, you're on the hook for like $100,000 of it.
Personal guarantee. They insisted on a personal guarantee.
It's no joke. So like me, myself, my first business, which I still have to this day, is I had a townhouse and I had $200,000 in equity. I took 150 of it and borrowed against the equity. If that business fails, I would have lost my house. You know, so we'll get to the steps at the end or in the middle on for you to do it yourself. You don't have to maybe take as much risk as Paulie G and I took. But anyway, keep going. So you're at the lease. Keep going, sir.
All right. So I said, you know what? If things go sideways, God will help me. And I would have lost my house. That's because they forced a personal guarantee on me, and I signed a bad lease, 6% increases a year, but I knew I was home. I knew I found a neighborhood. And let me tell you something, 11 years, 8 months, and a week later, I was so friggin' right. Okay. This neighborhood is blown up and just, I'm so glad that I found the balls to make that decision, because if I would have, walked away from that, God knows how disgusting I would feel if I ever went near here. But I did it. And then I started trying to figure out how to build it with the money that I had. It wasn't that much. But what happened was, once the lease was signed and all these people who didn't, believe in me or whatever, and mostly friends and family who came to my house and had my pizza. That was another thing that building that oven in my yard did. It gave people the opportunity to see what my pizza was like, right? All of these people suddenly started showing up and saying, you know what? I want to invest in you. I want to be part of this. And I got little bits here and there, $10,000, 15, no more than that. Well, two people invested a significant amount, $30,000, $40,000. They started coming around because they saw that it was really going to happen. They suddenly had the belief in me because I was willing to sign this lease in an expensive neighborhood in Brooklyn, right? So, and that's when it all started coming. And what I did was, this is very important, okay? I took my money, it was 60 grand, and I got people to put in they got 1% equity for $10,000.
So you evaluated. So you had $1 million valuation even before serving your first slice.
I don't know anything about valuations. I couldn't tell you how they work. All I know is I don't know. I backed into it. I figured it out, right? And that's what I did. And I put up 25% of the capital. Part of the deal was they get paid back in an accelerated fashion. Like if we do a profit distribution, I would. No, they get the people. No.
We'll get there. Don't let it distract you. Keep going.
Well, people got to believe in you. You got to give them the belief.
No, hold on. This is important. Keep going because I want to know about the distributions. Who was first money out?
So what happened was, they get. If I did a profit distribution, somebody put in $10,000. Okay, they wouldn't get 1% of the profit at first. They'd get the percentage. Let's say somebody put in. Let's say I raised the whole amount, including my own, was $250.
Yeah.
Right. If they put in 25,000. Okay, that means they had 2.5% of my business, right? Correct. However, when I did a profit distribution at first, they would get 25% because they put in, right? It was 20%, right? The 25,000 was 20%. No, it's 10%. I'm sorry. They would get a 10% distribution rather than 2.5 to accelerate it. That made it more attractive to them. Then once that whole $250,000 was given out in profits, then it reverted to the 2.5%. So,
so hold on. So this was kind of like a street convertible note. I love it. Keep going. It's basically a street.
So that's what I did. And the beauty of it, don't ever borrow money to start a business because it's bad enough that you got to pay that rent every month, come hell or high water. Don't have a bank loan that you got to pay back, or God forbid something worse.
Wait, Paulie, really quick. That was a genius move because if you're not making profit, it delays their payment. It does well. It accelerates their payment. And then once they're satisfied, their equity distribution drops. And then that's when, boom, you really start making money. How long did that take, if you don't mind me asking?
Probably took a couple of years.
Yeah. That's right.
I had to use some of those sleeping pills. Okay. Yeah. There were a couple of times I had to go into that to meet payroll, but eventually, and so I spent a little more, but it may be less than 2 years that I got that. It was, it was a tough start because I wasn't able to serve alcohol in the first 5 months for whatever reason.
Let me ask you this, Paulie. I came from corporate myself, and when I started and I have an MBA, and I'm like, was worked a lot, but had education. And when I started my own business, I kind of said to myself, wow, I know what I'm doing. I have an MBA and I came from corporate. I know all this stuff. And then I hang my own shingle and I am the HR department. I am the sales department. I am the customer service department. I'm the finance department. And I'm also the trash boy. And it fucked me up. I was like, whoa, I didn't know what to do. And I'm not going to lie. I always say this in business. Paulie, I would have rather you come to me now and me push, go get a Ferrari at $350,000, get the keys and push it in the Hudson River and not even drive it once, push it and lose it, than make the mistakes I made. I made well north $350,000 in dummy tax. Here's my question to you: is that's how much I lost over the years? Let me ask you, in terms of dummy tax, what's the first big mess up you made, or what's one of the big mess ups you made when you started the business?
Well, one of the things, the place did not have a designation as a restaurant already. I'd like to talk about that too.
Please.
But it was a restaurant, but they never got a designation from the city that it was an eating and drinking establishment. So I wasn't able to serve alcohol.
Yeah.
The reason they couldn't get it, it had to have all these inspections. But one thing that it didn't have was it had sprinklers in there. There were 4 sprinkler heads, and the pipe in the street wasn't big enough to support those 4 sprinkler heads.
Jesus.
I had to add 2 sprinkler heads for my pizza oven. Actually, I'm not even sure I needed to do that, but I did. So then the landlord tried to say that I had to pay for this pipe in the street being enlarged, and I fought him for months and months and spent money on lawyers to get them to do it. And finally, the guys who built the place for me, they said, "Look, it's not that much money. Why don't you just do it and deduct it from the rent or whatever?" And I wish I would have done that, because until I was serving wine and beer,
that's when
not only was I not making the profit, I'm selling Mexican Coke instead of, a beer or whatever, right? Yeah. People wouldn't come if they could, because you can't do BYO unless you have a license, right? So people weren't coming either. So I lost a lot over those 6 months. Once I finally got that all straightened out and I got the wine and beer license, overnight, all my revenue doubled. Overnight. It was wild.
And your profitability probably more than double, because booze and spirits are a little more profitable. Okay, so you open up, you're doing well.
Hold on. We have to finish the percentage thing. So I put in 25% of the capital to start the business. Yeah. And my all friends and family, little amounts, they put in 75%.
Wow.
And today I own 80% of the business.
Oh shit.
And and they're very silent and they're very happy. They never bother me about, you should do this, do that, give me financial reports, this and that. They wanted to help me. That was important. They saw that I wasn't doing what I loved, and they wanted to help me do that. And they saw that I had a talent. Really, my talent wasn't making pizza. My talent was I'm a schmoozer, right? I mean, they'd come to my house. I'd have parties. I'd cook for them. What's the matter? Your cat's bothering you?
I don't know.
Everything okay?
Something's going on. It's fine.
All right. So, they saw that I love to entertain, and, so it was the perfect thing for me. But they believed in me, and, that's what happened. And now I own 80% of the business.
Wait, no. So hold on. This is also.
I was telling you. Then I was able to take the profits. I never even told these people I was going to do it. I went and I signed a lease to open up a slice shop. Boom. With the profits from the business. And now they own the slice shop too. Some people, they cut deals. Well, you get profits for 5 years and then you're gone, right? Or whatever. I would never do that. These were people who believed enough in me, to put up their cold hard cash, hard earned cash.
Wait, so hold on 1 second. 1 second, Paulie. Reintroduction. Paulie G owns 7 restaurants known for.
Not true. Not true. I own 3.
You own 3.
Maybe about to own 4. We'll see.
And then
I also help other people, and I want to get to that eventually. I help other people open up their own spots.
Well, how about this? Paulie G's, there's 7 places right now. He got into the restaurant business at 56 years old, only had 1/4 the money, found friends and family to do it, did a brilliant, please go back and watch, did a brilliant deal to set it up. And he has a TT. He has one in NOLA too, I believe. So we'll talk about that in a second.
I own that one.
Yeah. So my point being is never too late to start, have the right arrangement, work to raise the money, and then so we started a second place now. But so here's the other part too. So at that point you started your second place with the profit, which takes balls as well, right? For the slice shop. My question is, what percentage equity did you give the 25% group of investors on the new place?
Oh, no, everything's the same. It all rolls back up to the umbrella. It all rolls back, yeah.
You're a fair dude, my friend.
You know what? Those people put me where I am today. Those people, their belief in me allowed me to do what I did, and I owe them my life.
God bless.
I do. Again, all friends and family, not anybody asking for, this and that, yada, yada, yada. So.
How about this? Just we're gonna get back to the story, but what about the reason I like the armchair MBA? We have a whole bunch of people from different walks of life, right? But we do have some guys and gals that weren't perfect, right? They may have a record, they might have done something, but they want to change their life around, and maybe are not as close with friends and family, and may not have the financial resources to live out their dream. What about those folks that maybe have the vision and the hard work, but just not the scratch? What's your recommendation to those folks?
Just what I did. Show people that you really, you're really serious about this and you have a passion for it, and give them a good deal. That's I'm telling you, you don't need that much money. Now, I help other people open up places now. I require them to have 20% of the capital of theirs.
Yeah.
Okay. I said, I don't care how you get it. If you need to borrow it, that's on you. But I don't want you trading it for equity. You could trade 80% of it for equity. I want 20% to be yours. But,
love it. So you open a slice shop. Now that's ballsy in Brooklyn. You got Luigi's, you got Lucali's, you got Tara, you got L&B,
Yeah, well, what happened was this. The pizza I make doesn't travel well. And for a few years, I was sending it out in a box, and I just knew I didn't like what it did to it. I wanted my pizza represented well. The best way to enjoy my pizza was to come in and have it right out of the oven, right? But I owed it to, I never wanted to open up a second place, by the way, at all. But then I did read Danny Myers setting the table, and for 10 years all he had was the Union Square Cafe, and then he decided to open up another one, but it was in walking distance of the first one, so he could be there, right? But what happened was I was going to expand this place into next door, and then the guy next door kind of soured on the thing, so I had a little bit of money put aside from our profits to do that. Yeah. And I said, you know what, there's an opportunity here. I'm leaving money on the table. People want to have takeout pizza. We have a park a block and a half away. Have a neighborhood. People want pizza. I want to open up a slice shop. I'm going to do that. I went and I tried to buy a slice shop. Okay. From a guy around the corner. And for whatever reason, it was a little shop. Very important. There's so many things that didn't work out for me, and thank God they didn't. I was going to buy this little place. There isn't any place to sit. There's like 4 seats. But, the idea was to grind out the takeout pizza. New York style pizza travels well. But because he wouldn't sell to me, I said, you know what? Listen, he kept on saying, and he kept on moving the goalpost, going up another $50,000. I said, forget it. I said, look, either you sell to me at my terms here, or I have my mind set on doing this now, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to open up, a couple of blocks from you, whatever, and it's going to hurt you. They didn't care. And finally, I found a place. I found a great spot. I didn't realize how great a spot it was until I opened. But that's what I did. So there was the second place. Hold on, but
the business is a little different, right? Slice shop, a little kitschy, foot traffic, better margins perhaps, but your average order is lower. Your average ticket's lower. You need, like, so for example, your other place, I'm making this up. Let's say you did X amount of tops, you made more on average. Here, you need a lot more tickets for less money, which is a totally different business model. When you opened up, what happened? Did people adopt right away, or did you have to figure things out a little bit before?
I had a line out the door the first day, and it's been going great ever since until the friggin' pandemic came along.
Okay, then what? Let's so hold on really quick. We got to be careful, because if we say like the C word, like the Google police come and like limit the talk and put up all different claims. So we'll say the P word, right? So what first happened during the P word for you and your restaurant?
Well, I had to close my wood fire place because I had a place I was doing takeout. I wasn't going to do just takeout there, pay people and pay staff just for the takeout that I could send those customers to my slice shop, right?
Correct.
So I closed that, but the slice shop, I did about 75, 80% of the business I was doing before. It was, it was ugly, but but we did it. You know, we had a
Wow.
line outside, nobody inside. You know what? Can we talk about something other than the P word?
Yeah, true. If you don't mind me asking, though, for the sit-down restaurant, like, were your vendors fair? Was your landlord fair? Like, was it a fair deal, or do you, like? Because I know a lot of guys and gals in New York that own restaurants that like it wasn't good, and a lot of it was relationships with vendors and landlords.
My landlord was pretty good. I have to, my landlord in the wood fireplace was pretty good. You know, I didn't give him any money for 4 months or whatever it was, and eventually he did give me something. He wasn't bad. And the other place, you know, he's like Beelzebub. Can I say Beelzebub?
You have to say whatever,
Lucifer or whatever. He's just not a good guy. And you know, but I tell you who was good, and they should have been good because they're the ones who caused it, was the government. Okay.
Yeah.
I got my PPP money and it
Me
made
too.
money,
Me too.
So
Save my ass.
I can't complain about that. So, but getting back to the slice shop itself, it was a beautiful thing because I had this light bulb went off in my head. I said, I could create a vintage slice shop. I can make it look like the 60s, you know, in the 70s, the kind of places I love. And I love simplicity. So I just serve the kind of pizza they served 50 years ago. I don't have any, you know, the pizza I serve in the wood-fired shop has all kinds of, you know, topping combinations that are unusual and yada, yada, yada. But the slice shop, which is very classic. And it does, in terms of the business model, we sell beer there too. We sell a lot of beer.
Nice.
We did. Now there's less people coming inside. They're still getting used to that. But what I love was that I created something, again, you know, you come to Paulie G's, the wood-fired place, you're not going there just to eat the pizza. Right? You go in there for the environment.
Okay.
Right? It's music, conversation, as well as the pizza. You come in, I don't play background music.
There you go.
I do not play background music in Paulie G's.
Okay.
What do I play?
Italian music?
Foreground music.
What's
the music is loud in my restaurant.
Oh, wow.
Psychological. First of all, I've always enjoyed, you know, I'm a closet DJ. I like introducing music to people. I have a 6,300 song playlist. Most of it, you know, we won't even hear on the radio. You know, it's all like album cuts and things like that from the 60s and 70s. It's a little eclectic. And but psychologically also, if you walk in and the music's loud, people see that you're offering them something more than just a pizza, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why put the music on if you can't hear it, right?
Correct.
So, and I did the same thing in the slice shop, a different playlist, and I created this whole atmosphere. The slice shop is like vinyl. I compare it to vinyl records. Okay, who loves vinyl records?
Older people or nostalgic people.
Older people.
Or nostalgic,
right? Because they wanna remember, right? They want to remember what it was like.
Yep.
To buy an album and hold it and yada yada yada.
Yep.
But who else likes it? Younger people, because they want to know what it was like to be an old man like you know, young. An old man like me was young to have that, and they want that experience too. And my slice shop is exactly the same thing. There are people my age say, "Oh, this reminds me of, you know, I used to go to Corner Pizza on Church Avenue or whatever," and somebody else says they want to see what that was like. So I'm.
What about tell me the story about the that you told me when I first spoke to you about the booths from the pizzeria
that is such a special story. I had there was a book called, you know, I wanted to have this classic slice shop, and there was a book that was my greatest inspiration for the design of the place. It's called The New York Pizza Project. They're sold out now. They're on eBay for between $500 and $900. I have 4 of them, by the way. I bought a bunch of them to sell at my pizzeria, and they all didn't sell. But I have this book, and it had all New York old school slice shops, the people who ran them, different sections. Beautiful, beautiful book. If you get your hands on one, get it. And in there was these orange pizzeria booths that you'd see in a typical pizzeria. You know, where the chairs are attached to the table. Oh, I missed what it said. Well, you know, you got to judge for yourself. You know, you're a good judge, though, because you got a Yankee hat on. Okay, so I'm sure you know.
Wait. Where's that? Where's your place in Brooklyn?
The Slice Shop is in Greenpoint on Franklin Street, 110 Franklin Street. Okay, and spell my name right. It's Paulie, not one. Okay, so where were we here? Oh, we were talking about the music. No, we were talking about.
What were you talking about? I got to hit the rewind button. No, you were talking about the what were you talking about? You talk about the music. You talk about the foreground. You were talking about
the chairs, the boots.
The chairs,
okay?
Yeah.
So here's this. I took a picture of these boots in a pizzeria on Fifth Avenue in Brooklyn called Elegante, and I had it on my phone just as an example of what I wanted to do. Right. So I still lived in Warren, New Jersey, right up the hill from. It was Joe's Pizza at the time. It's now they moved. They opened up a nice place down in Somerville that he mentioned. Tom mentioned. Yeah, I wanted to call you Armchair. And so I went in to talk to him because, you know, I never made, and this is a great story too. We never made New York style pizza. It's not easy, right? Yeah. There was a guy who, when people came to me, I'd always offer them advice. And the word was out, let me come and, you know, you come to me and you want to do your own thing. I'll sit down, I'll give you advice, right? Guys would come to me that wanted to open up like slice shops. I said, look, I can tell you about the generalities of opening up a place, but I don't know about New York style pizza, but I'll send you to my friend. I'm not going to say who it is. I sent you to my friend, this guy, you know, he could help you. And I sent him 3 different people, right? And they opened up, he got consulting business from them in Toronto, in Los Angeles, and Edinburgh, Scotland, right?
Oh, wow.
And the guy says to me, look, if you ever need any advice, you know, if you ever need any help opening up a place or whatever, I'd be glad to. Great. So when the time came, I went to him, and there's a part of the story I didn't tell. I started helping other people open up wood-fired places in Chicago. That year, it all happened at once, 2016. Chicago, Baltimore, Columbus, Ohio, and Miami, right? I go to this guy, I said, hey, I want some of your advice. Can we get together? I went to his shop, and all he did was discourage me. Well, I don't know. It's tough. And, you know, I'm sure you want to do this. And well, how do you do this? Well, it depends. He didn't want to give me any information. And I went away with my tail between my legs, and I'm thinking, you know, I got 4 places that I got to help get open now, you know, license deals, and I got to help them. Maybe I need to focus on that. And a guy who worked in my kitchen who was going to do this with me, his name is Drew Brown. Okay. I went to him. I said, you know, maybe this isn't the right time to do this. We didn't sign a lease yet. And he said to me, Paulie, we're going to do this thing. Okay. I owe him a lot for this because he said, you don't worry about it. I'll take care of everything. We're going to do this. You can worry about those other things. And that's all I needed to hear. So I knew he wasn't going to do everything. It's like when my kids said, let's get a dog. I'll walk him. I'll do this. And I knew what was going to happen. But I knew that since he made that commitment, if there was something I wanted him to do, he wasn't going to be able to say no, right? So I went ahead and I opened up the slice shop. So in the meantime, I went to Jerry. I went to Jerry and Joe's Pizza, and I told him what I was looking to do. Yeah. And I started asking him advice. Should I do the cheese myself? Should I shred it? Should I buy it shredded? This and that. And I said, yeah, you know what I'm going to do? Excuse me. I'm gonna make it like an old school slice shop. I'm gonna get boots like this, right? And I showed him the picture of these boots from Elegante Pizza that was in that book. He looks at me, he says, I have those. I said, what do you mean you have them? I had forgotten that he had remodeled his place, right? Yeah. He said, yeah, I got 6 of those. I said, 6 of those, what do you want for them? My wife's gonna kill me if I don't get them out of the garage by the end of the week. I was about to chop them up, he told me. Literally, you could ask him. Go in and ask him. And I said, great. I went, I got my son, $68. We rented a U-Haul truck in Greenbrook on 22. We went and I got those things. I stored them in my garage. So that was the pizzeria that we went to while my children were growing up. So now I have, and it was 8, not 6. He didn't even know how many he had. So I have those boots in my pizzeria. Those are the boots that my children sat in growing up.
Wow.
So,
What
I got to tell you also, the whole family came to the slice shop and sat in those booths.
God bless. Wasn't Fear City filmed at your place?
Yeah, there were 2 interviews, and I love the interviews because they were both people that were working on the Galante hit. There was this woman and then this other guy. They kind of worked together on it, and they filmed that. I thought that was great that they did that. It was in episode 3. So
love it. Okay,
and they sat in those booths. They sat in those booths when they were.
They sat in those booths as well. Okay, so the other part I want to talk about is you didn't just do it just as a businessman. Your goal was to be closer to your sons. Walk us, because typically the restaurant business is the opposite. It's very like polarizing. You're always working, stress level, but you did it because you wanted to be closer to your sons. And I understand it worked. Walk us through how that worked.
Well, what happened was, first of all, most importantly, I did it to inspire them to do what they wanted in life. My son, my oldest son, he wanted to become a pilot. And I told him he needs to go to the Air Force Academy. I said, and you know why I said that? Because we were on vacation. We were at Embry-Riddle University in Daytona Beach, Florida, which is an aeronautical school. Okay. And, I was going to do whatever. I was going to find a way for my son to go and become a pilot. Right. Yeah. And he bought this shirt. And on the shirt, it said Embry-Riddle University. Now, it's a 4-year school. It said 5 or 6 of the best years of my life, right? Wow. So I said, wait a second. I ain't paying tuition for 6 years. I said, Michael, you need to go to the Air Force Academy. You need to join an organization called the Civil Air Patrol and yada, yada, yada. So, I always taught him, you got to do this and believe in yourself. And I also by the way, very important too. My biggest contribution came from being an Amway distributor. Okay.
Interesting.
If you know anything,
I didn't see that coming.
Huh?
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, well, you know what? I did it. And what happened was it didn't work. Okay. I can tell you reasons why. I don't need to even go into that. But what was important was the way the multi-level marketing works is you have to inspire the people who you brought in to work, in your pyramid, right? So the way they did it is they have conferences, they have motivational tapes that you listen to while you're driving around, and we listened to those things. And we went to conferences. They show you people who achieve what you want to achieve. When I talked about going around to different people who had opened pizzerias and did what I wanted to do, okay, they did that. They would show people who became successful Amway distributors. They would bring in people from all over. They brought in Lou Holtz. They brought in at these conferences, Sugar Ray Leonard, I saw Muggsy Bogues, and I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot about, making commitments. That's where I learned that from. I learned, phrases like, keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you get, right? Yeah. So that was a great contribution. But I wanted to show my children, what they had to do. So they did become closer to me. Well, we were always close anyway.
Yeah.
My youngest son wound up coming in and working with me the first year in the restaurant, and we almost killed each other, but we worked it out eventually. And my oldest son, he was frustrated. He was out at the Air Force Academy, and he couldn't. But they had given him a $30,000. They give it to anybody who wants it. A $30,000 interest-free loan. And in 2009, after he invested it in whatever. And the market tanked, and he was down. He gave me $10,000 because he wanted to help me and be part of this. Wow. Folks in the chat, hope everyone's having very good. So that's where we were.
Okay, so there's a lot here to kind of talk through, because what I want to get across is we already established you can never be too old, right? 56 is not old, not the youngest, but not old. You went and did it. Number 2, you need a pair of balls, right? Number 3, OPM, others people money if you can. If you can't get others people money, get into something and show you're serious. One of the questions I always get when I do consulting or if they're clients is, oh, I'm working my day job and I got this side hustle, right? and like they're like, when do I leave my full-time gig and go all in to the part-time gig or the part-time hustle? What's your formula for that? Because I have my opinion, but I would like your opinion on the guy who's working at, gas station or do whatever he's doing, right? Or she, and then they're doing this little Etsy thing or whatever the hell they're doing, right? But they're not making a lot of money doing it, right? When should you drop your full time and then go into
when you have enough money to survive? When you have enough money, like my friend said, your investors aren't going to mind if you take a salary that'll cover your bills. That's when you do it. In my case, I was about to get fired, okay, because I was still in Parsippany, okay. I was running back and forth every day to Brooklyn to get things going right, and I messed up a couple of things on that, and I knew my boss was about to fire me. By the way, one of my investors was my boss's husband, and her boss was not happy with me, and I wouldn't have been happy with me either, because I was distracted, right? And I cost them a little bit of money, whatever. So I knew that he was going to let me go, right? So I figured, how can I do this? So I gave him 3 weeks notice. I resigned, gave him 3 weeks. So I got an extra week's salary out of it. But you have to do it when you can afford to pay your bills. It's not easy, I knew that I'd have enough revenue coming in to take a salary. So
okay, so hold on. So I'm with you on you manned up, you got the first place. You took the profits and opened a slice shop. I'm with you, right? And when do you scale to 3 units, 4 units? When do you franchise? I want you to walk this through, because there are people that own businesses that maybe have a pizza place or they have whatever, and they have bigger dreams, but they're like, that's the other part too. Just because like you have a restaurant and it's doing well, like you still may be scared to open up a second, third, fourth unit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't want to open up a second one. I didn't think I was going to. I thought I was just going to be there and that was it. But I had success. I said, I owe it to my investors, and and let's see what we could do. But what I did, I didn't want to create another job. Okay. I'm loving my life. Okay. I'm doing what I used to do at home on the weekends. Right.
Yeah.
If I start scaling and have all of these places to manage and all of that, that's a headache, right? So what I did instead, and again, thanks to Amway, I learned in Amway that you can help yourself by helping other people. And I decided to take all the knowledge that I had and the goodwill that I built up, because I was pretty well known in the pizza world. At that point, 2000, I just really decided to do this 2014 maybe. I could take that and I create a licensing deal where I could help other people open up, and I get a little percent of what they do. Nice. And that's what I did. Okay, it took a while, but then all 4 popped in 1 year, and to me, that's a good way to go.
Nice. So of the 7, if you don't mind, how many are you own, company owned, and how many are franchise deal?
Okay, the ones in there's actually 3 in Chicago now. The guy who opened up in Chicago, you are inspiring, Tom. The guy's right. The guy in Chicago wound up opening up a slice shop, a little different than our slice shop here because he wanted to be different. And I let him run with it. And then he just opened up in Loyola University. Okay. Columbus, Ohio is a licensing deal, as is Baltimore. Right. They're wood-fired places, but now they're all doing another style of pizza that travels well as well. Right. The New Orleans place is mine, because the way to open up a pizzeria these days is to find a place that was at least a restaurant already. I learned the hard way. When I opened up that slice shop, it cost me $650,000.
Yikes!
Okay? That's because I had and oh, by the way, this is why I do not own a gun, because I had a general contractor who was a thief. Okay, walked out on me, ghosted me, and left me holding a bag. I had to pay all these subs twice. I had to if I wanted the guy to sign off on the electrical work, okay, I was going to have to pay him what what that GC owed him. Same thing with the plumber and the HVAC guy. I want to pay him twice for stuff. Really, it's just, and never turn a place, because when you turn a place into a restaurant, the inspector's got to come, the building department, stop work orders, yada yada yada.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because these are like kind of cautionary tales where if you ask entrepreneurs, where did you get screwed? The word contractor always comes in, whether it's your house or business. In retrospect, how can you mitigate that a little bit? Could it be?
I'll tell you exactly how.
Please.
First of all, I had a lawyer recommend this guy. Okay?
Lovely.
Well, it turns out he recommended him because the guy owed him money. Okay, and he was trying to save his ass, right? Can I say ass? Or are they going to knock you off the air?
No, that's fine. You just can't say the C word. Everything else is good, ironically.
All right, the C word. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know which one word. There's a couple of C words you can be talking about. So, so I wanted to lock him in. I thought I was getting the keys from the landlord. The landlord took 18 months to give me the keys. He was going to deliver me a vanilla box, right? But he ran into all kinds of problems with his GCs. He had to fire one, right? So in the summer, I thought we were about to get the keys. It turned out we weren't going to get the keys until December, but I didn't know that, right? So I locked this guy in. The deal you make with a contract, you give him a third up front, right? So I give him a third. I'm not even going to read it. I can't be distracted.
It's all right. It's all right.
All right. And it's a Ponzi scheme. I didn't realize that. He took that money that I gave him and he used it for the materials, for the job he was currently working on. And then when it came to do my job, he kept on asking me for more money. And, he was scrambling around. So that was a big mistake. I should have never done that.
Wow.
You could mitigate that by, and maybe a gun. Maybe a gun would help. Maybe the guy would take you more seriously and not try to screw you, right? But true. In the long run, it wound up costing me a lot of money. The key is find a place that's a restaurant already. You don't go through any of that. You just a minor modification. I had, in Chicago, the second place this guy opened, he was looking for quite a while to open up a slice shop. And he found a place that was a licensing deal with a very famous Roman pizza maker. His name is Gabriel Banci. Oh, and he opened up this place. He was pretty successful in Chicago. He opened up a second place in sort of a drinking neighborhood in Chicago, right? And this pizza wasn't late night pizza, right?
Yeah.
Pandemic came along, he failed.
Wow.
This guy, Derek, in Chicago, my licensee there.
Wait, was that second spot a Paulie G place?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The deal I give people, they give me 6% of the gross. You open up a second place. You don't need as much support. I like you by that point. You pay me 3% of the gross, right? So he got this place for $5,500. $5,500. Okay, I spent $650,000, right? So it was a great deal. He had to put in a new oven, but I was talking to somebody else, and they told me, "Oh yeah, Banci, you got a place in New Orleans also." And I love New Orleans. I wanted to open up in New Orleans, so I got wind of this, and the place was turnkey. It was a pizzeria already. Everything was there. Again, I had to swap out ovens. And I kept it for myself. I wasn't going to give that to somebody else.
God bless.
Yeah. So I have that place now too. I found somebody to manage it. That was a rough process, but it worked out. At first, the person who I brought on, she was very good at getting the place off the ground. But once it opened, it was a problem. But it all worked out. So I own that place. So the other place is a licensing deal. So.
All right. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, because we're wrapping up a little bit, but before we do, this is a great opportunity. This
hang on, you keep going. Listen, before we do, I got to plug in my laptop.
Yeah, please take it out. You're gonna have a minute break, because what I want to do for everybody, I want to open the floor. I want to open the floor for questions for Paulie G. Be respectful, obviously. He seems like a pretty open guy. I think he's gonna answer as honestly as he could. He's been forthright with me, but drop your questions below, respectful questions below. We'll start our Q&A round, if you will. I have some questions of my own, because when I get somebody like a great entrepreneur on, I like to extract as much value. I do have one question for you. If I were to have enough scratch to open up Paulie G's in New Jersey, assume a place rent is like $3,500 a month, what's my turnkey amount I need to start up out of my pocket?
First of all, Don't open up in New Jersey.
Okay, why not? Okay.
My wine and beer license, and all you need for, especially the slice shop, is wine and beer.
Yeah.
$505 a year.
Wow.
Try getting a liquor license in New Jersey. First of all, they don't have wine and beer. You have to buy the whole thing. It's
Correct.
it's rough.
Got it.
Okay. But other than that, it could be any, if you find a place like I advised you, I spent less than, I took this place, and even though it was free, did you like Rick? No, I didn't like Ricky Henderson. No. When he was on either team. No.
Why? Why is that?
No, I just, please don't get me started. All right. Let me say something to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Where is Ricky Henderson on the all-time triples list?
Triples?
Yeah.
Probably top 10.
How about 476?
Really?
Yeah.
So he didn't hustle enough for you.
It's easier to steal third than it is to steal home. So you just pull up the second base.
Yeah.
Anyways, whatever. Anybody who pulls up and says, I am the greatest, no, thank you. In any case, let's get back to this. You find a place that's a place already. Now, I spent a couple $100,000 on a place all in down in New Orleans, but it cost me $650 in Brooklyn, right? So that's really the way to go. You find a place that was a pizzeria already, you take it over. All I had to do is make cosmetic changes. Most of the things is because of my electric ovens, I had to pay an electrician. I had to buy a new electric oven, but that's the way to go.
Okay, so if you do find a location, not in Jersey, all in, if it's a less expensive liquor license, you're looking at around $650 to open up, roughly.
No, I'm telling you that if you find a place that's a restaurant already, a pizzeria already, you're looking at $200,000-300,000.
Interesting. Okay.
You do it right, maybe less. It's just depends on what's there. The expense comes in. You're putting in HVAC. You're putting in ventilation with fire suppression, and all of that. It costs money and it costs time.
And then what about so somebody has, let's say, the capital, right? Like say they would just put together $150, they're willing to open it, that kind of stuff. You lucked out and you got along with your family. You need a few core people in this environment. Some people say you should work with your brother and sister. Some people say you shouldn't work with your spouse. What family dynamic do you recommend or not recommend when you do open up a family place?
I love not having any. I have investors. I have no partners. I recommend you do it yourself. Okay? Because now you don't have to reconcile your vision with anyone else. You don't have to sell your vision to anyone else. It's a great way to go. No working partners if you could do that. That's great advice. The other thing I found out that I didn't know is I was meant to be the boss and not have a boss. When I discovered that, it was like, wow. This is great. I was always afraid of that, having to be the one I have to do that. But that's what I recommend.
Okay, how about this? You're fortunate where you had enough money and resources to get some money in. I've never taken. It's a long story for another podcast. I've only taken money in once for somebody else's startup that I was going to manage. It worked out to be a disaster. But anyway, so I don't take in money either. I just don't like to be controlled. What do you do when you do get an investor and you do, start your venture and they kind of have the right because they have skin in the game and money in the game, but you're like how we are. You don't like to be controlled. So how it's like, is there money, salute? Like, how do you deal when you have investors and they kind of
you have to create reports. You have to, you have to explain everything you're doing. You have to make good decisions. You have to, hey, what happened? What happened?
Sorry, cut out a second.
Okay, I'm back.
Keep going.
I mean, you have to be accountable to them. If they're going to be the kind of people you got to be accountable to, you got to be accountable to them. And, it's great. That was the other thing. Even though they don't ask me any questions, they're very happy, whatever. I know, and that was a motivator to me. I took other people's hard-earned money, okay, and I had a responsibility to make it work well for them, okay. That was, So just
what do you say to people that, whether it be a pizzeria or something else, where people are like, pizza shop, like, the margins are not what they used to be. There's already 10 pizza places. There's certain other stuff. What happens if you have a vision? You're able to see that vision through. I know you can execute better, but people discourage you because they just look on the outside. Oh, too many pizza shops, or you know what, you'll never do well, or that kind of stuff, right? What do you think? What would you say to those people that may want to do something but are getting discouraged?
Well, first of all, you got to get that belief I talked about. You got to believe that you can do it. You got to make sure you're finding the right area to do it in, and don't let anybody steal your dream. Don't let anyone steal your dream. No, I was not going to fail. I was not. Failure was not an option. I again believe, my belief in God, and first of all, God's power was within us. That's my belief.
Yeah.
Draw upon that, and you'll find a way. Just, be honest with yourself. Don't say you think that this location would work just because it's a good price or something. You have to be honest with yourself and be careful in your decision.
What's the single biggest mistake you made so far outside the wrong contractor? Not even just a financial, just, like in retrospect, you're like fuck, like that jammed me up. And you were an adult, you weren't a kid, but what's the biggest maybe rookie mistake you made?
You know what? I don't think I made any big mistakes. I mean, there were small ones. That getting started 5 months, without being able to serve alcohol, was something. But I really didn't make any really big mistakes. Hopefully the New Orleans thing takes off. Because I started. It was available. It started in the worst time of year down there, and then we got hit with a hurricane.
Yeah.
And I haven't, unless I'm forgetting something, I haven't made any big mistakes. So
That's a good question. How do you mitigate house theft, cashier skimming?
Cameras.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not the old school. You put
Have to
family.
find, there's something about North Brooklyn. A lot of very honest people here.
Yeah. Okay. How are you dealing with the labor shortage?
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult. I hired 3 new people, and every single one of them bailed. I'm sitting down in Aruba, and I get a message from somebody. Oh, I took another job. 3 people, and actually now a 4th one today. The guy didn't show up for training, and it's just. I thought I solved it for a while by I put out an ad for apprentices.
Yeah.
I found, I always want to find people that are not in it for the money, because I can't pay them that much money.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I find people that are interested in the business. They want to learn it. They're willing to work for less, so that they get the experience there, and perhaps they open up a place with me, which is happening right now. Actually, I can't talk any more about it, but so I put out an ad for apprentices, and I got a bunch of them. I got like 6 people who came in. They wanted to learn, but now what I'm finding is happening. They found out that maybe law school is really better than opening up a pizzeria, and they all go back to law school, which, God bless them,
Interesting.
But it really hasn't been easy. And I'm not sure, you just got to hope that people show up.
Now,
Craigslist ads, I rarely get the responses that I used to.
well, when I first started my other podcast 4 years ago, my big thing was I would like interview entrepreneurs, a whole bunch of different people, and I look at their journey, and I always look at it and be like, wow, like what got you here, and what got you there, and what got you there. I'm now looking deeper into the people that already make it or are still on their journey. And forget it. Okay, don't get me wrong. I want to respect what got you here. We went through it at great length, and I have a whole deal of respect for it. But I want to know who Paulie G is today. Now that you're doing well, what are some of the things that scare you that maybe challenge a sleep medication that maybe didn't before?
Well, the fact that things aren't going up, inflation scares me.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the environment, the economy scares me. You know, I don't know how I pulled this out, but I keep this little thing on my phone now. It's something really horrible has happened here. Okay, and I don't think that people see it yet, but I see signs of it. It's Isaac Newton's theory of. Yeah, I have to read it because I know. Hang on, just give me a second.
Take your time.
This won't take long. Notes. And this is really what I think happened. So, an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion with the same speed and in the same direction unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. So I think what happened a year and a half ago was an unbalanced force, and
Yes.
everybody stopped. People suddenly, you know, they got used to just sitting around. And I think it's very hard for people to get started again. And I think they're willing to do it less. And that scares me because, you know, people they'll cook at home. They got used to cooking at home. And maybe they're not making as much money now. Okay. Some people haven't gone back to work.
Yeah.
And, you know, I see it. You know, we don't have as many people coming in as we did. You know, I could say the P word. I forget. Did I say
No, I'd rather not. Only because I want this as many views.
Before March 16th.
Yeah.
2020, right?
Exactly. This is a good question, and I'll give you what I was told because I do some restaurant marketing. In the context of restaurants, how much emphasis and money do you put into marketing? I was told about 6%.
I love that question.
Yeah.
You see this? This is my pen. The only money I have ever spent on advertising is on that pen. I said, if people get, because we used to give out, now we're doing contactless ordering. People are going to steal the pen anyway. I might as well have my logo on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't believe in advertising. Okay. I believe that that's, you know, a detriment. You know, I believe that you're telling people I'm willing to spend money because I think that I need to advertise and get you to come to my restaurant. I'd rather have, you know, it speak for itself. That was very important to me. Now, you know, and I don't discount anything. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I've given away a ton of pizza, and of course, I never gave away any alcohol because in New York that's illegal. So you know, so I've never given a shot of limoncello away to anyone ever. Don't ever let anybody tell you that I did. But I given away a lot of stuff, but it was always an appreciation for someone coming or being patient when we screwed things up, right? But I never offer a discount for people to come in my door.
Got it. What about just a random question?
However, I do gotta say, others do it. You know, other Paulie G's locations, they do it 3 for 30, yada yada yada. I don't believe in that.
Got it. What about manufacturing overseas? I love to hear old timers. You're not an old timer, but what are your thoughts about manufacturing done overseas versus here in the U.S.?
Manufacturing what?
I guess maybe goods. And
oh, well, I can tell you that I recently replaced the old Baker's Pride oven in my slice shop with a Pizza Master oven made in Sweden. We have one down in New Orleans. We have one. We have 2 in Chicago right now. Game changers. So I don't know if that's what that person means. In terms of ingredients.
Yeah.
I love my tomatoes from California, from Stanislaus. Love them.
Love it. Now, with restaurants, it's a little different in the sense where the old traditional model, you have like a pizzaiolo, and then you have the front, you know, the back of the house, the front of the house. So if you go to your pizza places, do they follow the same methodology, everything where you don't even need to be a pizzaiolo? Or no, I want you to be a pizzaiolo and I want you to follow the method. I want to get know a little bit about the process.
Well, I don't bring in pizzaiolos because they think when that's their title, they think that they deserve a lot of money and they have to control everything. They make the dough, they cook the pizza, this and that. I'm not into that at all. You know, I wanted my staff to, and I was inspired by Roberta's with this. I wanted my staff to look like my guests. And, you know, so I taught a lot of people, you know, to make pizza, things like that. The other thing that I did was there was a big disparity between what my front of house staff were making and my pizza makers. because of the tip situation. So I took advantage of the pandemic. I couldn't do it before because I had a lot of servers. I had servers who were making a lot of money, and what I wanted to do was because in order to be in a tip pool, you have to be serving the customers, the guests, right? So I wanted to have the pizza makers bring the pies out to the guests, and I would have caused an uproar doing that. But after the pandemic, then those people making all that money came back, so it enabled me to have the pizza makers now be the ones to go out and serve the guests, and
Wow,
it's a good way to go. Yeah. In a slice
what
shop,
about
everybody can share in the tips because it's fast casual.
how do you keep employees in this environment when you're stretched yourself? What are some of the strategy there?
How do I keep them? I don't. Okay. I'm not the kind of person that wants to retain somebody for years and years because I'd rather help them move on and find new people.
That's
Now if
interesting.
I do it right, like I have somebody now who's I have a couple of people looking to go out and do things on their own. I'd rather do that. Keeping people, the longer you keep them, the more you got to pay them.
Interesting.
You know?
So you run more of and I look in businesses somewhere. So you're a product centric business, meaning the slice of pizza, the goodness of the pizza. We're gonna come check it out. The Four Horsemen. We're gonna come check it out, obviously soon to come visit you. So you're a product centric guy. You know what I mean? Like if you were people centric, you would say, "Well, I'm trying to keep all my people, and I'm trying to, help." Like it seems like you're about the product, right? So in order to make a great product, do you feel your processes are consistent to always make that great product? Do you get what I'm saying? Or in
Have
the
to be.
beginning,
They have to be consistent.
okay,
I one day, I love this story. We make a sauce. We started making it. It was like a marinara sauce,
yeah,
mostly for vegans, because normally we just use tomatoes on the
yeah,
pizza, milled tomatoes. But for vegans, you have to put some umami in the sauce, right? So we're making the sauce, and we also made it at the slice shop. Okay, it was the same recipe, but I always seem to notice that it seemed to taste better at the wood fire place.
yeah.
So I talked to the guy who was in charge of prep in the mornings. I said, "Let me ask you something." I said, "How long are they cooking that sauce for?" He said, "Well, it depends on who's making it." And I just said, "Let me tell you something. If you ever own a pizzeria, that's the last thing you're going to want to hear out of somebody's mouth. You have to be consistent. Like we have to have our oven running at 1,000 degrees in a wood fired place. That's important. But I do want to say that what I'm offering people is not a product. I'm offering a dining experience. That's why I said the music and this.
Got
You
it.
walk in, it's a seductive environment. The slice shop, it's a nostalgic environment. Okay, I got 6 TVs. It's very funny. Nobody watches sports. They watch Bob Ross, and Jeopardy, and whatever. That's what they want to watch. But you're offering a dining experience.
Got it. Now, one of the questions I have though is I'm trying to because I always try to, whenever I have a great guest like yourself, I always try to pull out their methodology so I can equate that to my own life. What do you do in situations like this, especially now, where the cheese is a little bit more expensive, the ingredients for the dough, you got to pay a little dollar an hour more. What do you do when there's pricing pressures on the back end and it's affecting margins? Do you smooth it out and bear it out over time and take it on the chin? Do you increase your prices to your customers? Like, what do you do when in a situation where the back end is getting expensive and it's starting to hit the front end? How do you handle stuff like that?
Have you ever seen a restaurant you go to and there's a sign, and due to yada, 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 we have been forced to raise prices? Have you ever seen that?
What do you mean? Say that again.
Have you ever gone to a restaurant or you see a sign on the door, due to
Yeah, I have seen it. Yes, I have.
those people are morons? Okay. I have raised prices many times over the years, and no one has ever noticed. Okay, that you have to raise prices.
Yeah.
I even pulled I used to include tax in my at the wood fired place in my pricing, and this is like my panic button, my emergency, red button. Okay. We can get back to her in a minute.
Yeah, take your time.
I
Oh,
wanna
hold on. You're like me when I first started doing this. When something comes up, it's just a ping. Keep going.
All right, okay, I
Finish
will, I
up.
will. So I pulled the tax, but nobody ever noticed. Nobody ever noticed.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to. Okay, you're in business to, you're in business to make a profit.
Yeah.
And if things are going to be more money, labor has gone up, exponentially. It's terrible. Food costs as well, and that's what you have to do.
Good point. So let's say Teresa, I guess she's either retiring or going to retire soon. I know it's a generic question, but for someone like Teresa, she's a great viewer by chance. I mean, she's a great viewer of the show and supporter. We really appreciate her. So what suggestions you have for, without knowing a lot, for someone like Teresa, you know what, I'm going to retire soon. What should I do next?
What you need to do, because I retired 11 years, 8 months, and 1 week ago. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I love. And when you're doing what you love, you do it well, and you'll do it better than people who are just doing it because they thought it was the right thing to do or whatever. If you do what you love, you'll be happy and you'll make money. Okay.
Yeah.
Do what you did on the weekends when you're working. That's what I did. I used to entertain. I used to invite people to my house. I used to play music for them. I would cook for them. And I do that now, and I'm happy, because it's not work.
Yeah. So what's next for Paulie G? Is he going to open up a few more units? Happy where you're at, or what are you doing next?
The thing in this life that human beings are worst at is predicting the future. They are horrible, and I am with all of them. I want to help people open up more shops. Okay, I don't want to open up any more myself, but if the right thing comes along, But I basically I want to help people open up slice shops, because I feel with slice shops, you have that pizza to go. People think pizza, they think to go, and that was one thing when I look back now that made it difficult for these people in other cities to get off the ground. I got a good start despite that 5.5 months without the wine and beer license.
Yeah.
But these other places struggle at first because people expect you to have pizza to go. And, so slice shops is what I'd like to do. I have some other things that, I'm working with people who want to do this on a bigger scale. We'll see.
Got it. So before we wrap up, okay, so it could be because you're a good regular guy for once, finally, right? We usually have some guys that are from a different universe. If you could have dinner, whether it be a businessman, former gangster, anybody, dead or alive, who would it be? Notable, who would it be and why?
My father.
Okay.
I want to show him what I did.
Yeah.
Father, my mother, I want them to see what I did.
What influence, even though they didn't see it, what specific influence did it have in you nowadays as a grown man with children, but they still live in you? What are some of those influences to this day?
My restaurant, okay, is my father's restaurant. Okay, because my father loved food.
Yeah.
He loved music. He was a musician. I wish I was. Great name, by the way, Johnny Catamano. Great name. And he's Sicilian too. I love that. And he loved conversation, and that's what goes on in my restaurant. I inherited that from him. Okay, and so he's there in my restaurant today, even though he never saw it. I wish he could. But the most important thing was that my father retired and my mother was working yet. Okay. And in an Italian American community, now I'm half Italian, half Jewish, right?
Yeah.
In the Italian American community, men did, maybe they barbecue. But because my mother was working, my father would cook. And he didn't shy away from the stove. Okay. And that green lighted me. I could have looked around and seen that great chefs are always men or whatever, but I wasn't seeing that. I just knew in the Italian American community, men did cook, whatever. But because my father was willing to do that green lighted me. So he had that influence too.
God bless. So, Paulie, we're going to wrap this up. This has been an honor. It's been a privilege. I definitely feel you'll be back. I know you've been watching the Armchair. What's your favorite episode of any of the shows that you watch, either old show or new show?
I love so many of them. I love so many of them. I love the Godfather review because you didn't know shit. I just can't believe you didn't know. You didn't know his birthday was December 7th. That just, Oh, and by the way, I went back and I watched. If anybody wants to see the greatest scene in movie history, go see when Tessio is going out to make this deal for Michael. He's standing in the kitchen with Tom. I hope Mikey can get us a good deal today. Tom walks. You know that he knows what's going to happen. He said, "I'm sure he will, Sal." And then, and just that whole scene, that was great. So I love that. I also loved the episode on the Many Saints of Newark because that movie was horrible. Okay, and whoever was on agreed with it. It was great.
Yeah, Gator.
I love listening to John Panisi. I don't know what it was about his voice and the way he expressed himself. I loved all of those things. So.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you appreciate the old show. I'm glad that you stuck with the new show. Perhaps we'll do a live stream from one of your places.
You got a lot of drama going on with this Horseman guy. I don't know what happened, and I don't want to know. But I don't want to get involved in any of that drama. Okay?
I hear you. I don't
talking about people's wives and this and that. No.
It got well. I'll give you the good and the bad. The bad news is it got ugly for a second. The good news is, as a business person, I have since pivoted. So, like, the good news is I move on quickly. I graduate quickly and get back on track and get to the message. What is about the show is, which, you know what, I want people, and I'm not just saying this because you're on, right? I'm north of 450 interviews. This was probably one of the most important ones. I'm going to tell you why. Because I've interviewed a lot of successful people, right? And a lot of them got head starts and they were easier. They went to this university, or they got this money, or they got X, Y, and Z. You're a self-made man. You're a regular guy. You grew up where you grew up. But again, it's not where you start. It's where you end. You did it for your family. You went for your dreams. You have balls. And to me, that's what a man is. So, Paulie G, welcome for being on the Armchair MBA. I really appreciate you being
Thank you. Please, two things. Please have me back because I can do this forever.
Anytime.
And number two, if there's anybody out there who wants to talk to me about, my journey and any advice I can offer, please send them to me. I'd be more than happy to sit down with them over a slice of pizza, a cup of coffee, whatever.
Yeah, I will say you this, Paulie. I get a lot of emails directly to me. Tom, a new theory. If you want to be connected with Paulie, I do the same thing. I don't glamorize. I don't run around and say, "Hey, here's what I'm doing." But I probably spend a lot of my time that I typically charge for. That I'll say, you know what? Let's talk for a little bit. Let's get a coffee, or let's talk on the phone or text. And I agree. Like, you know what? You can't pour from an empty cup, right? But once your cup is full, it's important to share it.
I want people to see that. I want people to say, if he could do it, I could do it. I want people to
Agreed. Thank you, everybody, for checking out. And this was the New Theory. Not the New Theory. Armchair. I got so many podcasts. Armchair MBA podcast. Thank you again, Paulie G.